This page is finished. We've centered it. We have an external style sheet. But in the folder of images and other things related to this project is a file called coffeeevents.html. Now we want this page to look like this page. And we know that we already have rules and styles defining what this looks like. So through the magic of sharing and HTML and CSS, we will make that happen. The primary thing we need to do is attach the external style sheet that we created in the previous video to this file. And that's very easy to do. If you are in your CSS styles panel, if you look down at the bottom, there's an icon that says attach style sheet. It's a chain, a hooked chain. Click that. And that will allow you to browse through your files and find the style sheet. I had named my style sheet coffeetoday.css. It's as simple as choosing that. We want to add it as a link as opposed to import. Import will suck the styles out of the style sheet and add them internally to your file. But it kind of defeats the purpose of having multiple pages attached to a single sheet. If we were to go back and change that single style sheet, then every page that has the styles will change accordingly. So leave it as link. At some point, we will talk about the different types of styles and how you can create a style sheet only if you are looking at it on screen versus a handheld versus for print. But for now, you can go ahead and leave media blank. Okay, well, as soon as I acknowledged that that was the style sheet that I wanted, the styles are available to me over in my CSS styles. And a few things have happened. This Coffee House Happenings, because it was an H1 and because I had a rule in the external style sheet called H1 with some properties, that assumed the changes already. Likewise with the H2, likewise with the H3s, and so on. Now structurally, we still have some issues. In the previous file, we had set up 3 structural divs for floating. Let me see if I can highlight one. I have one called Bev. I have another one called Bakery, and then another div tag, oh, that's the wrapper, called Sammy's. And even though they're not appropriately named for this particular file, I'm going to go ahead and use those. I will go into the split view, and I'm assuming that everything from this beautiful piece of artwork down through Sandra Lee Stone's date are all things that would go into a div tag. So I'm going to look for that in my code. So here's that image, and down through Sandra Lee Stone. I know it's ridiculously hard to see in a video, but Pastels January. So all of that information is going to go into that first div container, which I had called Bev. So I will surround that with div ID equals, in quotes. Now Dreamweaver is helping me out by showing me all of the div names that I could use. So if I had a momentary, brain lapse, I could pick from that list. Then I will find again where I wanted that div tag to end and end the div tag. And remember, Dreamweaver tries to help type for you. All right, as soon as I update my page, refresh, all of that information is now in the div tag, and I will continue on. Now this one's a little bit odd because I have only 2 columns instead of 3, but I'm just going to try to make that work. So the second column was div ID equals, I believe that one was bakery, and let's see, I will end that right here. Okay, looking good. I had made a footer as well in the previous document, and you can see Old Town Coffee House just hanging up here, not doing what it is supposed to be doing. So I will collect all of that information and put it into the footer div as well. So div space id equals, in quotes, footer, end quote, end bracket, and then after the phone number I will add, or excuse me, end that div. All right, perfect. The next thing that I'll do is put everything in the wrapper. So a lot of going back and forth between your style sheet into your code, but the more you do this, the more you get comfortable going into your code, the better off you'll be in the long run. Right after the body tag, I'm putting div id equals wrapper. And then at the very, very bottom, right before the body tag closes, I will end that wrapper div. So that's it. It's not a complete magic trick. I do have to implement some of the structural divs in my code. But now I have the same look, the same styles, the same colors as I do in my original file, and it really has saved us some time. The beauty of the external style sheet, just to illustrate it in a very simple way, is that you could have hundreds of pages attached to this one external style sheet. And perhaps in showing this to a client, they're like, you know, I love everything about it except for this, this, and this. Let's say one of those things happened to be the background color of the body. So just make a global disgusting change here to some hot pink. And any file, any HTML file that's connected to this external style sheet will take on those changes. So here's the original page that we were working on. So it really will save you a lot of time. Setting up the styles is tedious. Applying the styles can be tedious, but once they're there, and once you have an external style sheet, that's where the time savings start to pay off.